Microphone. Microphone. Okay, got it. Wasn't plugged in. I was messing with my oh, that's loud. Just a little bit to cancel out everything. Right in the background. Got these so I could sleep. A different configuration for my mic. That I have over here. So it's all like just temporary, but just have it over there. Yeah, I had 3 sets of them. I think maybe 4 sets, including this one, but yeah. So I could just headset from one computer. You know, PlayStation, they had to make it technically, different between the Xbox and the PlayStation. So I got the PlayStation ones. And yeah, I of course got the Gears of War 5. I got 3, I think. I think I'm good. Yeah, they're super comfortable, man. One thing I want to do is like, since this is like the Overwatch Lucio's, like I want to put like some kind of padding right here because you put gel in your hair, whatever product in your hair, and then it gets on that little foam. So I don't know how to actually make it aesthetic and protect it at the same time. So like a little sleeve that you could just take out and wash or throw away or something like that. Like I had with my other ones. So, but yeah, I'm just stocking up on stuff right before I get into like real estate, like the stuff that I need, because I won't be able to buy anything for like a couple months, 2 years, or whatever it is. So like, get sustainable. I need money to fix my car and everything. So just get that in order. Pay rent, pay down debt, that kind of thing. But getting ready to where I could healthy enough to go out there and hustle and everything. Okay, I see. So this is the sticky stuff that goes onto the lens. Oh, okay. Then this is the remote. This is why I got the other one. My fault. So this is the where I was able to take my what do you call it? My profile shot, my business shot with my camera instead of like trying to press enter or on my phone or whatever. Now this is not even my setup, man. It's like I got so much gear already stacked up, ready to go. I'm woodworking in the other room hour by hour. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, and the thing about that also, like I'm gonna get more UV lights, more like another maybe 2 ring lights, and maybe like I was thinking maybe around 10 Elgato like lights or whatever. Because I already, and then like one of those like 2 different fog machines or whatever, right? Well, it'll be like mine will be in like a top 1%, like the 1% and 1%. Like the only people that be professional, and mine will just be like hobbyist or whatever. Come down, get my half hour, 4 hours in on the weekend, whatever, and then I'm working, whatever. But everything I do is overkill. You know, I keep working it up, working it up, working it up, working it up. So I gotta account into all the Nazi shit, or whatever. People, you know, every little detail try to bring you down, but like, you know, because they spotlight you, whatever. And I already got that. So I already build it up like in real estate, doing this, doing that, whatever, you know. And I'm looking at another revision of my business card, whatever, right? And so I'm trying to decide like even what kind of icons I want. So I don't know if I want to. Okay, so I need a small little lanyard for this. That's what I got to do. Yeah. So like right now, like I have my real estate salesperson license for like years now. But now I'm going directly into the broker's license. So technically, you know, there's interchangeable real estate sales to broker, whatever, right? But I'll actually be the broker, legally, bureaucracy wise, or whatever. There we go. So, and do that. Yeah, same here. Same here. Luna, I heard about Luna, yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be crypto, but I mean, it has to be regulated to some extent. But, you know, the whole thing is, you know, they bullshit like they're a company and they just keep that going. So that's the whole thing about it is. And so you got to be careful who's legitimate and who's not. So is it going to be what takes over you know, the financial market? Yeah. As there's a lot of it Ponzi scheme, and then unfortunately a lot of it's that gray area where if they succeed, good. If not, they have to bail out, and it's a Ponzi scheme, you know. So it's just it is what it is, and that's the Wild West, man. I'll put that on later because it'll shake the camera. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. So I want to flip that on like that, and I guess maybe on my lens cover or the off to the side. I guess it'd be more aesthetic if it was like right below everything. Measure it out, you know. But I was just going to get into like some stuff Ukraine because I got a little bit. I figured, you know, you're going to deal with neo-Nazism, might as well like end it, you know. Do whatever you can to end it so you don't have to deal with it. So when I start real estate, I know I did everything I can to remove it from my environment, and I feel very comfortable dealing with it externally, you know, instead of going after other Americans. So they were like, if it's extinguished in a foreign country, why are you hearing to all that nonsense? You know? Just eyeball it. I mean, it's just a lens cover, right? There you go. So, okay, then that just hooks onto that. Okay. There you go. So I don't ever lose a lens cover, because that's what happened by last lens. Is that I even think this came with a lanyard and I threw it away. Okay, I know what I could do. Okay, so this comes with this. Is this a coil? What is this? Oh, is this a round thing? Oh, I see, I see. I know what I could do. So I'm not going to use these circles. I mean, but I went through a couple of these remotes, none of them worked, and then I didn't think this one worked, and but I'm glad I have it. I don't want to lose it, you know. All these little small things. I was like, I'll never really get, but I figured might as well get it now. Oh, I see. Okay. But is this too sensitive? I think this is too sensitive. Microphone. Is it picking up my headset? That's crazy. Microphone. I don't know. I'm hearing like a waterfall in the background. There you go. And just hook it onto this one. What? I don't know. I think I'm letting the glue dry now. Then I gotta cut off some other parts of it. Then another part glue dry, and then should progress rapidly pretty soon. There we go. And then I just hook out that onto the side. And the other side will have my lens cover, either side of the camera. Never lose it. Dummy corded, right? It's like, but yeah, I don't know, like this year, probably just stacking up on games. Maybe after Christmas, I'll play some like shoot 'em up games, you know, like arcade games. Um, Don Patchy, not that type of thing. I don't want to go look at them. I have to wrap them up. But like you know, bullet hell games. So dodging and weaving, have your little spaceship dodging and weaving everything. You know, things that only last 45 minutes. You know, thing that takes like $10 a quarter before you just keep putting it in. You know, because it's just so fucking impossible or whatever, right? So those type of games, you know, so I could play one a day or two a day, you know, after like Christmas, whatever, and then yeah, and that's probably the only thing I'll do this year. And then I have a stack of games and maybe do like Halo in 2022 when everything's built and everything, and the FPS games or whatever, and sit back and relax and enjoy the story and everything else. You know, just do a chapter a day or something like that. Yeah. So I'm just looking at the look for deals or whatever. I have everything. Yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. And then next year, you know, so I still have a whole stack of, you know, like software deal, you know, downloaded games, you know, digital games. And I don't know, I don't really want to organize anything for October and November and Christmas. Yeah, exactly. And I'll have another like year for another like shoot 'em up games to come out, pull out games. So I'll have another because they're like so quick. They only last like some of them are like 20 minutes beginning to end. Like they're super quick. And I mean some of them are grindy. And then maybe you know I'll work on some of the grindy games for November or whatever. But like next year is when I'll really start to do everything. I mean just gaming in general. But I'm just like doing that other room because I need to get my and the computer set up for work and everything. This is still the 10-year-old computer that I've been using for a while. And not only do I have to repair my car, which is expensive, couple like 10,000 or whatever. The CPU on one is five. There's another thing that I need for to buy is like $5,000. I think to really get my full setup is just to end everything out is probably just another 5,000. That's it. So it's good. I mean, if I add everything up, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I think getting those two GPUs, the lights, and maybe another mic and a few other things is maybe, yeah. I think at 10K I'm good, and then that's done, and I'll be good for another 10 years, you know. And and just gradually increase it, you know, little bit by little bit, whatever. And like I'm looking at my desk over there, my parts over there. So just start building on that. Just gradually work on it. Just over engineer it, and so it'll be good no matter where I go and everything. But you know, I got to focus in on rent, food on table, bills. And I'm good. So I'm working whatever. So it's just like, and then growing from there. So but I mean it's like, but I'm still I couldn't really work on it because I didn't know what exactly was happening with my leg or whatever. It's just this pain or whatever that this bone pain. I didn't know that there's stress fracture in it, from weightlifting and having patches, whatever. So have that. I go in on the doctor on the 6th, so that's done with. Then move forward from there. But meantime, chilling, healing. It's okay. It just is what it is. I mean, why is it's not Jersey. It's peaceful. I mean, it's just you don't really have that. Not a lot of people out here. So I mean, the society's closed in that respect and doesn't really change. But you just avoid passive aggressive stuff. It's pretty quiet. I don't know. But this is very boring. It's wide. It's in the middle of nowhere. So do this. It's good in real estate. Then I could use it as a jumping off point. Think about moving to Florida, whatever. A little bit more exciting, but you need more money there. So have the best of both worlds. Have this like the peacefulness of Hawaii. Talking about, and then when you went out there and being greed or whatever. Pretty much, talking about, I mean, like, I guess growing up in Jersey, you kind of tell, I mean, there's a lot of poverty out here, yeah. So you kind of, but you could tell, it's like the facial expressions, if they have too much going on in here, and they have the biases, whatever, you just keep it at arm's distance, whatever. Unfortunately, with everything, you gotta, like, have positive control on it. You gotta, like, reach out, sort of touch it, feel it. I just like keep that stuff away from you or whatever. But it's like second nature to you. But it's just like, and I kind of feel sorry. Some people don't know how to do that, didn't like grow up and all that other stuff, But yeah, it's not, it's very calm, It's like people run out of nowhere, coming after you in Jersey or some shit or whatever, some trivial bullshit, Not like, okay, just do what you got to do and get back to what you're doing. But you could be focusing on what you're doing, so. But I guess I got to kick up a notch and that kind of thing. But I got to keep like thinking like how grateful I am that I have opportunity and the time to pursue these things. Most people don't. So now I'm just like, it's so tedious studying for my broker's test, but it's straightforward. It's not like it's difficult, and that's what sort of got me because it's not hard. And it's like, oh, I could do it in like a few hours, but then you're like, if you just keep pressing the next button, next button, next button on, you know, your study thing, whatever, there's little bits and pieces you might forget. And granted, I could probably pass the test now, but I want to go back over it. And like I said, I want to be able to overkill it and do overkill it now. So people try to do little trivial things, whatever. And what I learned was that I want to deal with a certain type of people. People don't know how to bullshit. People don't have to do all this like crazy gray stuff or whatever. Because if people perceive you as not knowing it or whatever, then you have to deal with it. But if you have, and this is where I really have to make that turn where I don't care about my perception, is that I'll get those people that don't do any of that stuff because it's easier, you know. It's not you don't have to deal with that hassle, that annoyance, you know, like not the awkwardness you sometimes get out here. You know, people be like they're separated from like society, and they're like, well, this is what Puerto Rican is, and you're just like, well, how come you don't do this, this, and this? It's kind of awkward, you know, because you just want to build a bond and be cool and chill, and you just is just like, well, okay, well, that was weird, you know what I'm talking about. And it's just like, it's just a little bit like unsettling a little bit because you're just like looking at it like, really, dude, you know what I'm talking about. And it, to them, it's just like an image, not a people, not a culture and everything. And it's just like, it doesn't really build anything that furthers, you know, bond or society or community, whatever. And to them, it's just like one of those things they want to be associated with, and a lot of people do and everything. And it just leads to that, you know, that's just little like the divisiveness or whatever they didn't really want to deal with. And it's just kind of annoying and awkward or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So it's just like, I don't want to put myself in these situations where you have to deal with these things, you know, or okay, well, come on, dude, you know, you should have done that house inspection or whatever else. I don't even know what I have to deal with. I guess something of that nature or some trivial thing. And it's just something you don't want to deal with, you know. And so I want to make sure that I'm attentive to it. And I just get, and I have to look at those people that, or when you give out this positive and this ability, that you get that back or whatever, and that kind of thing, whatever. So it's be the best of the best, you know. And it's just easier because you deal with less people and you get the best information, you get the best training or whatever else like that, you know. So, you know, that kind of thing, you know, so you're not really bothered by little trivial shit, you know. It's more comforting and more relaxing, you know, and I don't know. It's just something that's just like more and more chill. Yeah. But so I gotta, you know, make sure that's why I'm over preparing now, right? So I don't know, man. But it's just like, yes, I guess growing up where I was, it's always you sort of learn those things, you know. So it's just like, I don't know. Anyways, so I'm gonna get into my boring shit. Well, it's not everything was boring, but talk about Ukraine. Pull up a map here. So, but on your calendar, it would be sometime. Let's see, October, November. Definitely by Christmas, I want to have this up, you know. So, I think my only big hiccup is where am I going to weld my legs to my desk, and if I can't weld them, I'll just stack them together like this, you know. And that's all right if each one moves independently. Just a little bit of give, that's fine, I'll figure it out or whatever. But other than that, it's just like I got epoxy that I could stain the desk or whatever. I mean, stain the desk and then put epoxy on it, and it'll just look really good. And yeah, just gradually doing it because I want to make sure these things are something I could use over and over again. And and it'll stand, stand the test of time, and do it once, and I could forget about it. But it's kind of funny, like meet people out from Jersey over here. Um, it's pretty trippy. Run into people. I was like, oh yeah, I'm from Patterson. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That type of thing. So it's real nice. I mean, you could tell, just by looking, little mannerisms and everything like that. But, oh, okay. It's just we're not shy people, I suppose. So that's always a good thing. But you just want to, say take the good with the bad. It's like more people from the other side of the continent than from the east side of the continent. And I think one person, some lady from North Shore, this blonde girl, was just like, "Is everybody from Jersey here?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. That's you see the white side of Jersey. I don't really see that side. People that come up to me mostly, obviously Puerto Rican, a few Irish, a few Italian. Oh, a Brazilian came up to me. She's like, she looked at me, then she like did one of these little like look or whatever, and I wish it was more aggressive because it didn't really strike to me. I didn't really hit me until after she left or whatever. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a dual citizen to Portugal and Brazil." And she's like, "Oh, I did like 5 years learning German and everything." It's like, what are those brains or whatever that just know like all these languages and shit. And so obviously she spoke perfect English. You couldn't even tell, like she did not know English from birth or whatever. So those are the quality people that I wish were more aggressive with me. I'm talking about meeting and talking to me or whatever. I'm talking about so on that level. Because I want to, saying. But and I keep forgetting that I am I'm a national of the UE, French Polynesia, TD. And so I guess technically, I wouldn't say I'm dual citizenship, but, obviously I'm born citizen of the United States. Some sort of affiliation with French, so whatever that is, national or something, right? So, but, that type of thing. But anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent. Good people, because, when you're secure in who you are, you go up to people. You have no, I don't know, qualms, inhibitions, because that person wants to talk to you, you have what it takes for people to want to know who you are. And I guess me recovering from my leg, I still like feeling that pain or whatever, talking about. So I was just like, I don't know if I should really further this conversation because I'm feeling, pain or whatever. And it's just like, talking about, so it's just being cool and chill and cordial and being given those pleasantries or whatever. But in the back of my mind, I was just like, I have enough, I have enough money for, maybe, whatever, I'm talking about. So, but I probably could just grab them and be like, hey, but it's just like when you look at it, like just like when this how what she looks like, Brazilians like model quality, talking about it's like so. Anyways, how dumb are they acting in the dumb boss? I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit. There we go. There we go. Okay. So what I discovered that the distance from Kiev to Moscow, if you put it inside of Ukraine, now it's going to deform a little bit because I already tried this, but Nave is right there. But, oops. It's just about right there. Hold up. And let me get another window capture thing here. There we go. So the distance from Kiev to Moscow is like not as far as people think. That's why you want to suck in everything you possibly can that Russia has until we have more control over dealing with it. You don't know what's going to happen in Russia, so you deal with it while it's in Ukraine, where you set up everything you need to destroy it, and you pull them in, and you constantly keep doing that. Draw them in, kill it, draw them in, kill them, and that kind of thing. And one part of me was just like, well, you want to provoke Belarus or whatever, right? Into coming into Ukraine so you can annihilate them and go up to Minsk or whatever, regime change it. Ukrainians have to do that. We can't do this. And this is all Ukrainians, so it doesn't start World War III or anything, nuclear exchange, anything like that. So we got to keep our, arms distance away from all this stuff, talking about. They need to do it. That way it doesn't provoke anything, But you can't let this cancer mentality linger in any foreign country. Come over here, bite us in the ass or whatever, saying. So anyway, my thinking is that you would provoke Minsk into attacking, but it's not really the best thing, right? because now they're coming into your territory and killing your people. So it's more of, this is where Blitzkrieg will come into play, because you want to make a straight run into Minsk, arrest everybody, arrest the leadership or whatever, right? Anybody that could instill a totalitarian government, get them out of the way, and have a democratic Belarus. And they're already part of the war because they use their territory. And them being in play is always going to bolster up whatever government's in Moscow. So you have to take that out, and guarding your flank while you go into Moscow. So Blitzkrieg is very rare, but that's one of the times where you just want to make a straight shot right at Minsk, arrest everybody, boom, come back, Well, I don't know about go to Minsk and then assess what you have from there. Want to stay or pull back, but the reason why you would want to do Blitzkrieg is because of the fact that you want to annihilate their armed forces before they could disseminate arms to the pro-Russian population. And that's why you want to do a quick. And if you sink them in into and provoke them into Ukraine, you run the risk of them fully mobilizing and disseminating arms to the pro-Russian Belarusians or pro-totalitarian Lukashenko Belarusians, whatever. You got to prevent that. So you got to, that's where aggression and coming in quick really will deter that and mitigate that. And that's why Blitzkrieg. So you want to. So I was feeling a few things, yesterday, and then I realized, I'll put everything on the table and get this shit done with, get this Nazism done with, because there's no way the thing could have like a safe harbor or whatever, You have to destroy it, destroy this evil, And so I'll say what I need to say, and then people can decide that's good, has merit, or does not, I'm talking about. Or because it's all politics, saying a lot of it, and it is interwoven bunch of things: economy, politics, and military. You just can't do one or the other and feel the other two are going to be dealt with. So what you want to do, if you choose to go after Moscow, Blitzkrieg up to Minsk, remove their form of government, democracy. Either you got to decide, when's the best time to do that. After you capture Moscow, before. But if it's after, they're probably already going to disseminate weapons to pro-Russians. So. And Ukraine is more than capable of doing that. But because by the time they fully mobilize, it's going to be a massive army, But you definitely want to prepare the battlefield, destroy ammo depots and fuel, whatever, and you could mask that as destroying Russians' capability in that area. You know what I'm talking about? When in fact, you're doing a blitzkrieg. You just hold your cards at the very last moment. Because a lot of this is going to be like, you got to weaponize the ceasefires and the politics and negotiation, because they're going to do it to you regardless, because they want time to rebuild, to get as much as they can, So you'd be like, okay, we'll negotiate with Russia. We almost got you out of our territory. Now's the time to talk or whatever. But in the meantime, you got your overall goal that you need to achieve. So you're the one controlling negotiations. It's these negotiations are to your advantage. You're, you know what I'm talking about? It's just like they're getting, you know, nothing from it. Because you already know they're going to bullshit you. You know what I'm talking about? So you already know they're going to bullshit you. You got to be able to, you know, hustle everything you possibly can, because you can't trust these people. You know what I'm talking about? So it's just like, and it's really, what I learned in life is that you want to achieve some place in your life where you have the luxury we could trust people. We have the luxury where you get to deal with these good people, whatever. And we all, some people take for granted that, you know, you're light skinned and white, you get to deal with this. But when you're a minority, you have to deal with all these people who are just in survival mode and always got to bullshit or whatever. And you want to rise above that, you know? And to when you're a minority, is just like you got to keep working to achieve that, you know? And you always got to deal with at some level, whatever. But that's civilization, that's society, you know what I'm talking about? And now we're dealing with this basically low class. These people aren't, you know, they're not even treating other people as people, you know? And if they're willing to kill, torture, have war crimes, of course they're going to lie at the negotiations. And we're going to try to contort those negotiations like this is something good. So you got to, you know, behave a certain way, you know what I'm talking about? But they're going to use that goodness and that decency against you. Russians going to use that decency of the Ukrainians to deal in good faith or whatever against you. But you got to protect, you know, the sovereignty of Ukraine, the democracy of Ukraine, against a totalitarian, basically an autocratic regime that's bent on conquest. So how can you deal with someone in good faith that all they do is want to kill you, annihilate you? A war of annihilation. There's no such thing. There is no conversation. And to put out perception like there would be a conversation is just, you're living in a different reality. You know what I'm talking about? Is this, that's crazy. You know? Is it, you know, simple brutality needs to be met with force. And if they want to make believe that negotiation is going to further Russia, you know, I'm talking about that thing needs to be weaponized and to regime change Moscow. There we go. So because the thing is, they're trying to create confusion and confuse you just long enough so your capabilities just diminish, whatever. So you want to do the same to them. Use the negotiations where they're just lax a little bit and go out to Russia. You know, you see, reverse it. You turn the tables on them. You make them dance to your tune, you know what I'm saying? So you would want to capture Kursk, Belgorod, and see how it goes from there, you know? That's all we want. All we want is Kursk, Belgorod, and use a staging ground maybe over here or something like that, or some other city, wherever your city you choose, you know, something to this effect. So they'd be like, oh, we need to go out to Belgorod. Oh, we need to go out to Kursk. to end the war, you know, to tell the world that, you know, we're not going all the way deep into Russia, but to end, you know, make to secure Ukraine, boom, and use that and see how Russia, if they're totally destroyed after this point. Then you capture a staging ground, and you have a straight shot to Moscow. Now would be like the final goal. Of course, we're gonna say you can't do that. You can't go after Moscow. You can't regime change. You know, and you just gotta be like, oh, we just want this United States. You know, we just want Kursk. We just want Belgorod. And meanwhile, you're building up a force. And we'll do one of these things. It's just like a kid. You know, it's like back over here. You know, it's like we can't. It's an independent country. It's nothing we could do. You know what I mean? I was saying. But my thinking, what's going to happen over the next couple months is Ukrainians are going to get pushed back to some level. It's just arbitrary. I don't want to make something that's definitive. But obviously, they're going to. Oh, that's not delete. Right here. Pressing the wrong button. So Russians are going to advance some level into Ukraine, wherever it is. Right? We'll just say, for argument's sake, it's in the center. And ideally, you would want a counterattack, right? Obviously. And there would be a counterattack. Pushing them back. And say, in this perfect scenario, everything doesn't go like this, but this is like a general feel for it. During this counterattack, all the meantime, while you're pushing them back, you're preparing your battle space again for their counterattack when you're going to lure them in, right? So you're pushing them back all the way in. My thinking, this whole area just be obliterated, right? As you're pushing in, you're capturing all the, you're scouting out all the high ground and everything else like that. You're putting in defensive positions. Actually, I'll just keep making it blue. all along here. That type of thing. I think it would look better with arrows. But those are more aesthetically pleasing to some people, right? Again, make it look somewhat nice. Those things count, I suppose. So you have hidden gun placement, bunkers. Depot is like literally this hidden, you know, they can't even tell where it is, you know what I'm talking about? So you push them back, then you let the gates open, they come back again. Am I thinking like this whole area be like a wasteland anyways, right? And these are like the decisions you have to make, because do you want to risk it or not? But what you're going to do is get the last bit of the Russian forces sucked back in. Are they going to rely on T-34s? Are they going to pull Chinese, rely on Chinese equipment? What do they have up their sleeve? And if you're going to go after Moscow, you want to deal with everything on your terms, you know? Before you go after Moscow, kill as much as you can of their fighting capabilities as possible. You bait them in this perfect scenario. Because what's going to really happen is there's going to be some place in the battlefield that's totally annihilated and it's already a wasteland. You'd be like, well, this is things how it already played out, and this is what we're going to allow it in. And my thinking, it's probably going to be actually in this area when they come up. The reason why I'm saying in the center, because it's easier, because in the center you could get in more arms and for the counterattack. It's easier logistically. And here is just a shorter perimeter for you to get in stuff, you know, so it's sort of like a technical thing. But here, for argument's sake, just argument's sake, right? So as you're pushing them forward, you're getting, you know, you're knowing where you could put these things. And then all of a sudden, you got them right on the edge, and you think like you totally collapsed. You know, there's the catastrophic, you know, event in Ukraine or whatever. You know, there's no like defenses, and lo and behold, there's a corridor, and you're sort of directing them where to go. You know, I'm talking about you already pre-planned this whole 100-mile corridor, but you already have everything organized, ready to go, and they're just going in. And at some point, they're going to lose cohesion, lose organization. But like if we just put in just a few more people, just a few more heavy machinery, we got these stupid Ukrainians, right? And got them thinking that these dumbass, weak Ukrainians, they can't do anything right. So there's piling in more people, more people, more people. But you're already prepared the battle space, right? Then all of a sudden, when they're drawn out again, you know, because they almost got you defeated. You know, this is what happened. This is what, and I think this happened throughout centuries and centuries or whatever. And the thing is, like each time you do it, the more difficult it becomes. You know, like when they came down Kyiv or whatever. Well, they already did it. That's natural. Now, how do you do it again? You know, I'm talking about it takes more organization to do it. You know, more preparing the battlefield. You know, you got to, you know, add in more contingencies to dealing with it. You know, but it, you know, you could look at all these battles that happened before. They constantly did it. They constantly provoked them and then retreated back. They constantly provoked them and retreated back. They would run after them like we're all crazy, and then boop, about turn or come back and stood on a line, you know, like they were, you know, they were uncohesive themselves, you know, to fake them like they weren't organized. That's the type of thing you want to get for them, like you're the unorganized person and you're the one cheating. So now they're coming at you, to full on aggression, and they lose cohesion again. So every time you do it, it becomes more difficult, more planning, whatever. But it's the best, it's a tried and true tactic or whatever, because you need to get them where you're prepared. So, and just two different ways of thinking about this. So, and if you look at, this people in general, we have these certain behaviors inside ourselves. We want to think it's infinite, but these things keep happening over and over again throughout history and throughout battle. We want to think like death and killing is something highly detailed, very complex thing, but unfortunately it's just these simple things, and these simple things are very effective. And simple brutality is something we always got to deal with, but we always think it's this, I don't know, super ability, creative thing, and then we'll be like, oh, that person's a genius. And it's like, no, this simple, mindless violence. But we want to give it this image like they should have power over us, talking about just the opposite, It's those things that build people up and those complexities of getting along that's a lot harder or more difficult. It takes more skill. And obviously, these things take more planning. I don't know. But, I mean, I don't want to get into like some sort of argument or whatever about, about war or whatever and everything else like that, because then, we'll be here until next century. Because war has been here before we were born. It's here now. Unfortunately, after we're all gone from this earth, it'll be here again, and we got to do our best to deal with this as quick as possible and get back to creating a better civilization, But it would be like something like intelligence, nuclear intelligence, be like planning and that kind of thing. And you got to play it by ear too. What's the last card of the Ukrainians have? And the thing is, when the counterattack, there's going to be like my thinking, like when everything's set and ready to go for the counterattack, and you have all the anti-air and air capability ready to go, and you want to teeter it up until you're ready, until you have that capability. Everybody's, anti-missiles, aircraft, helicopters, right? Stingers. When everything's set in place and you reach that point, that's just the best. Everything's, you're ready to go with counterattack. That's going to be your strongest, right? With, air capability and anti-air. And at that point, you want to be highly aggressive, of taking out everything that flies, done with, planes, helicopters, drones, or whatever. As you have that, instead of just having slowly whittle away. And their air is completely disobliterated, at that point, at the point of the counterattack, because then you remove their air from the rest of the counterattack, because that's the most dangerous thing for your counterattack at that point. If it flies, it's coming down as soon as it goes up, so they can't even fly low. What I'm talking about? It's like you saw something fly low, you hunt it down, you shoot it down, that aggressiveness once you reach that threshold. Of course, you building it up, or you sort of just, surviving, whatever, right? But there's going to be a tipping point where you reach that, and you just got to say, okay, this is who's going to get, and we have to be aggressive in knocking down. You keep wheeling their aircraft down, keep wheeling the aircrafts down, And then all of a sudden, it's go time. Take out their air, all your anti-air missiles and everything. You know, your Gerards and all those things are in place in a few months. You know, talking about it just goes fucking nuts in the very beginning of your counterattack. You know, so you take out that way. It's lopsided from the very beginning. Your stuff is already up in the air, taking down everything it possibly can, and the shit's taken out. You know, turntables, and then you start your counterattack back. And right when you get to there, to the borders, that's when you open up the gates once again, and you have that all in place and you allow them in one last time, and to your which is already desolate, and there'll be nothing left, you know, because you already made everything to your advantage. So as you push forward, you're already choosing those areas, that valley, you know, where you dig emplacements and everything. And you're forcing them down this corridor, you know. You're baiting them, you know, like, okay, you attack there, you know, talking about they just keep going in. But, you know, it's a risk, but you need to minimize it as much as possible and deal them on your terms. So the point is, how do you deal with them on your terms? You've got to prepare the battlefield. And that's the bigger concept. Well, the bigger concept is taking out the last bit of that could ever pose a threat to Ukraine. That's the bigger concept, actually. And us as Americans are like, we can't really get involved because it will start World War III. So this has to be totally Ukraine um, endeavor, you know. Oops. So, oops. These are just arbitrary circles. Here we go, color. So my thinking is that you would find high ground all throughout this region, right? And this would be like your hilltop forts. This would be, you know, like when you have a star fort, right? You have overlapping fire. So each of these holdouts we'll have supporting artillery fire for each of the other, forts, right? So you're up on high ground, you have dug in, you have your anti-air, your stingers, your javelins, your other artillery, whatever infantry, your anti-personnel type of weaponry, whatever, right? And you have these strong points throughout here, each guarding each other, on high ground. So you got to look on the map and know your terrain or whatever, where you have that. And you can pull back one group at a time, guarding the retreat of each of them, So this is all entrenched on top of one field. So when you're resupplying or retreating, you're going to one strong point, to another strong point, to another strong point, to another strong point over here. And same thing if you got to pull back, you go one strong point to the other, and then you pull out everybody from that one strong point instead of this long column of everything. You have these predetermined places. You already have bulwarks and everything up, that you could just, in sections that you could do. It's like modular, that kind of thing. And then maybe you can't counterattack this area, but you can contain it as long as possible with these, Or if you can counterattack it, probe it where there's weakness and look for opportunity and be able to gain this high ground, right? And then you do that, seceding back or whatever. And that's how I would go about that if you want to hold this area as long as possible and cause as much damage, Make them work for each of those strong points, You just pull back, and while you're pulling back, you have that artillery from that other high ground covering you. And each of these high grounds are covering each other, So that's what you want to do when you allow them back in again, right? You're looking out and be like, okay, let's start entrenching them now. So when we allow them back in, so you are pushing them in a direction. Down that quarter, that 100-mile quarter. I'm waiting on them to be disorganized. As soon as they're disorganized, you hit them with the full force of everything you accumulated to that point. And there's nothing left inside of Russia before you go up to Moscow. I just draw an arrow. I don't want like some arbitrary arrow to mean something here. But did I mention barges before? Yeah, we need more every shape, form of watercraft. I think the last thing I want to touch on is when I was talking about body armor. I think that's something that somebody other than America would probably have to look at, like France, Germany, because us as a country stigmatize it too much. And the developed world, we need to, we need to do it. But right now, the culture within the military is too focused on we're special forces, everybody in the military is special forces, and they trying to make it look like there's some kind of specialized ability where we don't need any protective equipment for your biggest weapon of all, your whole head or whatever. And so certain things need to be addressed, the not just that it stops a bullet, but the deformation in the back or whatever. And we got into these complex things that need to be addressed, as the force that needs to be transferred probably to your body armor, because now as they hit the body armor, it go, the body being bigger than your face, obviously this bigger surface area is transformed into actual vertical, into the pushing you back, then into a lot of the deformation, whatever, right? So a lot of the energy is converted into that. So how do you get that? And but one of the ways we have to initially state it is that you try something out and you fire at it and see what happens, and be like, okay, well, instead of saying, well, that didn't work, whatever, and you got to focus on some kind of magical ability of thinking that you could outthink a bullet that's right here or whatever, right? Is to actually address stopping that bullet and having that armor. So the mentality is having body armor, facial armor, head armor that works. So we want to get to that point. We know how to test it. We fire at it and then adjust it. Saying, give me what you have. I'll fire at it and see what happens. And then instead of saying it doesn't work or whatever and finding out for weak points, say, well, we need to address this problem here. This round went through it, and then how did it go through it? And we have that data, whatever, and we get that good feedback back to the people, and then we keep doing it until the problem was resolved. That is where we're better than people, that we have that cycle. I'm talking about that R&D. But right now we know we couldn't figure it out or whatever, and therefore we just sort of we're never going to get to that point. We have to instill it into our soldiers that that's not a possibility. And so now a good chunk of them is to say, fuck it, they're so ingrained in telling other people it's never going to happen. You have to get used to taking a bullet to the fucking face, and saying, you have this magical ability, like you're going to do the ghost dance and be immune to fucking bullets. You know what I'm saying? But if I say it like an Indian, to like a Native American, you seem like that's a stupid. Well, how come the Native Americans thought they could be immune to bullets? But here, now when you do it to a white person, they got to pretend like, they're this high speed or whatever, like some kind of magical skill and ability training is going to make them, dodge a bullet instantly. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like, but that's where we're at. So now we have to have, Germans and probably France and England address this probably better than we can, because we don't really have the will to actually get facial, or improving our body armor, until we get it into our culture that we could resolve the problem too. So, so we need to address that. So, but I know somehow we gotta distribute the force better, and the best place is to have the force distributed into the ground as much as possible, and change that force until force pushing you back. So instead of like that whole bullet pushing your neck back, that maybe it comes off your body armor, of course, like maybe like a V, whatever. That's some kind of rigid thing, just for argument's sake right now. And that it hits here, and the force is hitting your shoulders and transferred, to your back, and it's spread over all of your body armor. So that's how you want to distribute the force. So there has to be different things. But again, you start at some foundation and you shoot at it, at the V, because you want the bullet also to, see bounce back out. I see a lot of that bouncing up into the eye. And so, again, come up with something, anything, shoot at it, and then change it. Bring it back, shoot at it, change it. But we're not doing that. And because we're getting to this ghost dance mentality of like we could somehow outthink a bullet or whatever, and we can't. It is what it is. And it's kind of comical, like, that we somehow ingrained that into the culture. But these are like high psychological things or whatever, but I think it definitely plays into everybody. Type plays into people's naivety of wanting to be perceived as greater than the other or whatever, right? And let's get into the mentality. Well, we got to do everything to preserve human life and resolving the problem, getting the best armor that addresses all these things, mobility, blocking the armor, blocking the bullet. And obviously now you can't have this body armor. Could be skin type, but something on the face cannot be skin type. It has to be a little bit of give. And I don't know how to actually transform that energy so the neck is preserved. But I know we could figure it out. We just got to work at it. So we did it in the past. Um, I think we'll get there, like everything else. It's just a matter of putting our best minds to it instead of trying to say we don't need this, we don't need that. It's just like with seatbelts. Oh, we're half a century is like, oh, we're too good for that, but they were invented way before that until finally someone said, "What are you dumb motherfuckers doing? What are you goddamn seatbelt? Saves people's lives." That kind of thing. No. It has to do more with will than anything else like that. But just listening to some people is just like, okay, there's a problem, but it goes to the audience of them being drilled into being like a super soldier or whatever, I'm talking about. And people want them to be perceived at that because it gets them money, power, sex, or whatever. So people want to watch it. It enforces that, and then you're in this echo chamber. We never need facial armor. We never need to improve our body armor or whatever. No, you do. Simple as that. And we could get to the point where we do are that. It's a matter of will. Anyway, so we need to end this political mentality of subjugation and neo-Nazism, wherever it is. And once we deal with Russia, we know how to use those procedures on China. I think even like in the military, our mentality also, like back in the day when Romans, they said, never, you always got to keep the army busy. I think we even may need another department of the government, strategic defense, something of this nature, right? Because we know now the next war is going to be one of annihilation, not war of, because they're trying to, annihilate the Ukrainians, so they just say, we had enough, whatever, It's a total obliteration. We need to have like fortified bunkers, fortified, like the Rockies all dug out, the Appalachians, Sierra Nevada, those type in Okinawa. That's where they had that line, right? Those type of places, this constant like part of like in you being in the military. Everybody, you work out Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, I'm talking about. And then, if you're a Marine, you had your we call it platoon PT, you had your battalion PT. Oh, you had your platoon PT, and then right after that, you had your company PT, and then you had your battalion PT. Well, talk about all that kind of thing. It was like, fuck, and then, so that, but that was that once a month. I was like that, Mondays. Then usually Wednesdays and Fridays were your company or platoon PT or whatever, right? But in between that, on your Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm thinking like maybe for a couple hours that you're helping this other defense department dig, these fortifications, these with TBM tunnel boring machines or whatever, and that's your cardio, talking helping, this thing out, because that could also be used as civic spaces also. But you got to think in that level that the whole population and just constantly always building, always, because you're constantly thinking attacking, but you have to survive. So you can attack or whatever, and that you got to take that initial blast, that initial blunt of the attack, and have something to attack from. And so that's just is what it is. We know now that you need those bunkers everywhere there's a base. There has to be. That should be like a city at certain depth, there should be like a civic code for every building we have. There needs to be something that could take the force of that blast, the building coming down, and then still have that livable space and everywhere, and just have it all interconnected. Uh, that's just how we got to do it. That's how we got to make those spaces, beautify, part of that. It furthers our society. The Finns were very good at it. Even like because we can only build so much above ground, and we can only destroy environments so much. That's when we have to go underground, where it could, it's not gonna, things are not gonna collapse in on itself or whatever, right? We gotta dig even deeper than that. So Chicago and Denver are good. Well, Denver really, probably the best examples where we could do that. We could dig deep, everything could hold up, and we still have that. I don't know. So we got to start thinking that level and just gradually build out from there or whatever. So think about the future. These are like generational projects, things all you start now. In 100 years from now, saying probably be, where we want it, but we got to start it now and be all right, just keep adding on to it, furthering it, instead of just going all crazy about it, but resolving a problem, addressing problem as these other little nuances of it come about or whatever. So we know where we want to get at, in a century or whatever. We have our defensive industry that could be fully protected, and our population fully protected. That we want to start it now. How do we get there? How do we begin that? Just like if we want to get off Russian oil, we got to lay pipes down from Alaska to Norway, probably because we want to stay as far away from Russia as possible, so we could build it into Norway, into Scotland, and then have the pipes go in from there, right? But how are you going to get the pipes in from lower Alaska all the way up to Alaska? The only way is to go underground. And you want to start it by building like a tunnel, because you don't want to destroy the environment, right? So you have to go underneath. And you got to build all the other like supportive structures for that. So if you have an oil pipeline in the center, you would have like the railways, going all the way up, one down, and then on the sides you would have like a roadway, what I'm saying? So, and then you have the center, and then as you expand it out, you have more and more roads underneath, whatever. Same thing if you wanted to go to like Chicago to let's see, another city, Pittsburgh or something like that, right? And you build that underground tunnel all the way across, right? Then you have railways on either side, and as more and more cars or whatever, you build more tunnels for more and more lanes of the car. You make it expandable out. You can't go above, you have to go underneath, and that is a whole part of the defense infrastructure also, That's how you do that. There's only so much you could do above ground where you're using all the surface area. And so you have to be like, okay, and that just builds into the whole security of our nation, and it betters our infrastructure. What I'm saying? So, and then on the sides, you could have like different types of, businesses and other type of spaces and everything else like that. It's just how we're going out. I mean, this is the direction we're going. We have to use every space available, but you can only destroy the top so much. And so you realize we got to preserve what's on the top, and have as much plant life so we have oxygen, right? So it all plays into each other, even like if you look at Taiwan, how are you going to resupply it? You could have like they could build all these fortifications and bunkers and everything, but we still have to supply it. So are we going to have like different types of subs that are converted from nuclear subs that are supplying subs, that are transport subs or something, So it's all, we got to, think all these different things out and see what works, right? where are we going to build it? You know, I mean, are we going to have like these docks, you know, that are fully protected, you know, canals and everything. So we know we can control the environment by building more trees, but are we doing it? We're not, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, we got to think of these bigger scales, because we just got to, you know, preserve the environment as much as possible. And if we want to destroy Alaskan wildlife, we have to go under it, you know, and have everything we possibly can to, you know, once you build a pipeline, all the other adjacent things need to be built with it. And I think like in the 1880s is when we lived the intercontinental cable, and it was just a barely something we could get across. And every few years we did something better than that. So we could build a pipeline right now from Alaska to Finland, Norway, or whatever. But let's do it correctly. You know, we'll preserve the environment and we achieve what we're trying to achieve to begin with. You know, preserve democracy, so it makes our economy still strong. Be able to defend ourselves while preserving the environment. Take all these things into consideration. You know, I mean, it's possible. It's when we fuck it all up, when we listen to a small group of people, and it's only for that small group of people, you know. This is my point, you know. There's ways to go about it, but we try to make it look like our way is the best way to go about it. And we try to coerce other people believing that's the only way there is in the world, you know? And instead of trying to create conflict, you know, put our best minds together, you know? All these different good ideas. Anyway, so I guess the last thing I was going to get on to was that the Gauss cannons and extremely powerful things. I know theoretically you could get a projectile up to near the speed of light. I mean, you got to take into consideration, like, you know, the friction of air and everything else like that. But you get it really fucking fast, right? So if you take in really fucking fast into the distance it could fire, thousands of miles. So technically you could have like long range artillery inside the Rockies hitting inside of Russia, you know, coming over. So, but, and if you think about it, moving at those speeds as we increase our ability, you know, in a decade, 2 decades, so on and so forth, the time of flight on these things are going to be seconds, you know, and that's where I was getting into, where you could shoot down a missile, you know, you could shoot down a plane, you know, be like 1, 2, 3, boom, you know, 2,000-3,000 miles out, you know, it goes 1,000 miles a second, you know what I'm saying? So that's how powerful these guns could get, you know. So I don't know if nobody realized that. I mean, you could literally shoot out. It's a satellite killer. You could shoot out into space and shit. I mean, that's where the technology, we work on the technology is going. So no one thought to realize this, you know. So, but what could house this? You know, a lot of fucking electricity. You're gonna put it on a ship. It's too valuable to put on a ship. You put it inside a mountain where we have, again, those like overlapping type of fortifications on top of hills where each Gauss gun is protecting the next emplacement of Gauss guns, whatever, right? So you have many guns pointing at it, incoming aircraft, missile, any kind of threat, any kind of ship, you know. So you're all firing through the, and you could adjust fire, you know, from there. So you have like hundreds of emplacements, you know, guarding us, you know. That's where you want to get at. Not relying on a few, you know, you're relying on all these overlapping redundancies of anti everything cannons, you know. So ideally, you know, that's where we need to get it at. But these things are insanely powerful. Of course, we got to play around with, you know, everything so we get there, like the armor, the different configurations, different materials. But I know we could get there. What kind of rounds or materials we need for the round inside the Gauss gun. But moving at that speed, liquefying on impact, you know. So, anyways, due to those future things, you know, the kind of like DARPA type of stuff where we're doing exoskeletons, you know, slowly, you know, improving that, you know. Of course, the big bottleneck we're trying to get over is battery technology. It's just lasting a lot. All that energy it takes to moving all those, the hydraulics or whatever they're using, motors and everything that it takes for that power, right? It takes a lot of electricity. Again, with the Gauss gun, it takes a lot of electricity. And so that is the big bottleneck. How do we supply that much compacted electricity? So we're trying to overcome that hurdle. And then the next hurdle is kind of easier hurdles that we don't really think about. The size of a door, right? We have to make sure that that exoskeleton, that suit of armor could fit inside of a door. So how do you get all that, you know, all that into that compacted space? And one of the things that it could temporarily compact itself up into a door as it goes through, and then it comes down to you know, its fighting ability. So of course, again, it's the most vulnerable position that it is, but at that point is where all the armor is very, you know, all together, you know, it's all compacted, and as soon as it comes out, then you have that mobility, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things that it might be actually where it's most protected. It's compacted going through that small space, and then again, as it comes out, it is able to back to its full size. So that kind of thing. So there's different bottlenecks to the whole thing that, you know, is you know, that I like to look at, you know, robot technology, as I'm more interested in exoskeleton technology, whatever, you know, talking about. So, you know, obviously, you know, Stark, Iron Man, definitely had to deal with, you know, my bone pain issues throughout the years and everything. But I know we'll get there eventually. But I think it's a lot to do with if we want to get there. And it's amazing, like just that simple thought, do we want to get there? Has a lot to play in it, a lot to play into everything, you know? You know, being, you know, just positive minded about it. You know, we should get to a better world. We want to resolve these problems. We want to help people resolve these problems. Saying we don't need to deal with it, you know? Because when we don't need to deal with it, people think that we can have power and control over other people. And we have the right to kill other people and wage war. And so, you know, we're very grateful we live, you know, in a nation, America, where we try to look for, you know, our founders set up this environment structure so we could create a better quality of life, and we try to further that way of thinking other people, you know, have a democracy and growing democracies. We still have to be very assertive about it and deal with whatever problems that come up, you know, that I think differently from that, you know, just and try to bring them were just creating bonds and communication and empathy and that complex, no complexity than simple brutality, you know. But anyways, you know, and being native, I know we're not at all the best at it, you know. It's just like, so it's just like, you know, being Native American, you think of how you have all these like mixed feelings, right? Very grateful being so rare, and it's depressing that you have so few of you left. But you're in one of the best countries in the world, so you have that pride, you know. So it's hard to describe to people, you know. Um, anyways, it's just like something you can't really take away from people. You know, talk about is just it's there, you know. People want to be associated with it and want a little piece of that. But it's just something that this is this fire that burns inside of you, you know. Anyways, I'll leave it at that, you know. So everybody's just like, you know, like, how do you know you feel about being Native American and everything you expect, you know, everything you on both sides, you know. It's like growing up. People were like, "Oh, I heard about you, Spring." It's like, "Oh, what did you hear about me?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, all the bad stuff you heard about me, all the good stuff you heard about me, I'm gonna tell you right now. All the good stuff you heard about me was right." And I tell people back in the day, and all the bad stuff you heard about me was also also right, you know. So I was just like, but and what it really is, it's how people think about you is really who they are, you know, and who how they choose to be. And you know what I mean? It's like, so if they choose to be good, they'll treat you good, you know. And you look at those people and their point of lives. So you can't really control how people are, but you try to look for the good people always, you know. And you are who you are, you know, basically, you know, being Native American, what it is, I'm all of the country, you know, so how can I get depressed, you know? All the good stuff. It's who you choose to be, you know? And being Native, you have this even more comfort in choosing all the good parts of America. Because that's who you are. That's where your blood is, you know? Not like, not just that you chose it, not just ethnically and culturally you're Native, but your everything, your DNA and blood is everything. So you just, you know, you have this no, this, all right, that works over there. You know, what people came up over there and, you know, all these brilliant things. So, I don't know. Anyways, get into different aspects of being Native, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if you try to give that to other people, you know, taking the best of everything, you know. But other people, I don't know. You try to and just have them build up from there. But anyways, I'm out. We need to destroy this so we have a better world. I think we took it for granted that we'll always be a better country no matter what we did. And I think we just gotta actively always go in that direction and take a step back. Do we need to be adjusted? So we can't be complacent and arrogant and always looked at, let's be honest with ourselves. But I'm going in the right direction, so that's good. Anyways, I'm out. Peace. Probably to the 4th of July, you know what I'm saying? Probably another one of these. Put my American flag mug down till then. So I got my other mug. So I'll be using this mug till then. But I'll bring out my other mug. You'll see my mug again, my American mug. Then I'm out. Peace.